Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Irrational Review with me, Rationale, and the magnanimous, slightly overly confident, but generally a nice guy. Not brutal.
Great intro.
I can't help it.
Absolute.
I haven't even
son
said your
of
name
a
yet.
Mother.
Come on.
There's only one person here. I'm on my own today. Bruv, look at this. I've got this giant sofa just to think. I feel like I'm at therapy, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're light on guests today. So if you're tuning in, you're tuned into the Irrational Review with me, Rationale, and the fantastically humble human being that is Bobby Kane. So it's been another week that has gone by since we spoke last about general things that happen in the world, really.
Shits and stuff.
And today is one of those days where I've woken up feeling a little bit... I've woken up feeling a little bit down, if I'm honest with you.
Jaded.
Yes,
Jaded is the word.
That's a word I would probably use. And
is this down to the World Cup?
Yes.
Mate, yeah, you know what? It's hard. Because you know what's happened again? Right, every World Cup we go in going, no point in having hope. Forget the hope. And then just when we started to get the hope, and everyone was like, no, don't actually believe because you'll get hurt. You've been hurt before. You're going to get hurt again. And what
when
happened?
You say we, who are you referring to, by the way?
The nation.
We, what is in our nation?
Our nation,
the United Kingdom.
But, I mean, you know what I mean? There's all the praise that's going to the team, you know, like, oh, you know, like they've restored England's faith and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
In international football, and we've all got behind them, and this is a good team. I think the good thing is, you know, for once it was a team, no egos, no superstars.
Yeah, and football, to be honest with you, from what I've learned of this World Cup, right, and for everybody who's watching or listening, obviously you may not know what the hell we're banging on about. You may not like football, but we've been watching
over the last couple of days.
Exactly, that's the thing. Normally a very kind of like divisive sport amongst some types of people has suddenly converted all those human beings into being football fans, which is something that I love. Yeah, especially just in this country, I only take that in.
I mean, look at it. Look at like everyone's proper like...
Come together, man. It was nice watching the images on the news of people kind of like being in town squares and stuff like that, or throwing beers up in the sky or drinks or whatever it is.
I'm not getting involved.
That's the thing. I was watching that on television. I was thinking, oh man, this is really lovely.
That looks epic.
But I'm really happy that I'm at home. Not at that
also,
place
I wanted to watch it
where they're showing this football. Yeah.
It was either going to go two ways. If England had won, the country would have gone into meltdown, right? Yeah. Me and you would have been the few sober people today that were like not hungover. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the world would have stopped. Everyone would have lost their shit. People were smashing up ambulances when they got into the bloody semi-final. Yeah. You seen that girl that got caught? Yeah. Being caught. Idiot. That one picture, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this out there, but there was a picture of a girl who was celebrating by stamping on an ambulance. Yeah, we've gone in to deal with a person who'd collapsed in like one of those big public showings in, I think, Trafalgar Square or one of those. She made quite a dent though. She wasn't like a big girl or anything. She smashed like a hell of a lot. Dented up the thingy, and it's like, you know what, like, come on. Which match was that after? That was after getting into against Sweden. So that was qualified us. That's when it was arrived. And it's just, what an idiot. It's like, we know the NHS is broke. Don't take the piss. I think you just get yobbery wherever you go. Yeah, that's what happens. Like it's a very English trait, though, isn't it? We're really happy, isn't it? We're happy. We're going to smash some shit. Like, they always go like, the American riots, like the race riots, cause less damage than Michigan winning a fucking league in hockey or some one of their sports. And you kind of go, because people just go, I'm so fucking excited. Yeah. Then fucking flip some shit. And then they just start popping off and everyone starts going mental. But, you know. It's ridiculous. But, I mean, we've kind of like gone off on a bit of a tangent, I suppose. But I think the reason that I woke up this morning feeling a bit down was because obviously we lost in the semi-finals to Croatia last night. What a game. And it was a good game because for me, it had everything. It had the drama and the expectation, the kind of like suspense of thinking, wow, it's 1-0, we've scored a free kick, a good free kick, and it's the 5th minute or something, and we're still winning. I think everyone was kind of like, normally this is where we fall down and something horrible happens. Gerrard breaks a leg, Rooney has a metatarsal, Beckham gets sent off, or something ridiculous like that, and nothing like that was happening. But then, for me, it was testament, to the exact sort of
movements of the brain when you're having a good time with something, or if you're being successful with something, or something's going really, really well, but across 11 brains on a pitch, you suddenly saw all the players start to get the fear, man. They were like, oh my God, this could happen.
Yeah,
and a couple of passes started to go awry, a couple of kind of like concentration lapses. And when I think it's like in the bloody jungle, if anything gets the old scent of fear, it literally.
I mean, that's what Croatia were like. They suddenly realised
whatever predator is there.
England were trying to do the thing where they were like, you know, shit, we got a fucking lead in the semi-final of a World Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. And then you can see them all going, I don't know, this is
great.
And then like, even like Southgate and these people, they've never had that. It's been so long since we've had a lead in any kind of like after quarterfinal sort of zone.
Yeah.
That like,
but like Murray in tennis or something like that.
Well, I mean, no, but I mean,
even with Murray, it's like a trait. It's like everyone's still kind of like.
He's different because he could just focus on himself. But
yeah, true.
In the World Cup, the team like, so they were looking for guidance, and Southgate's like.
Last time I was here,
to be fair, guys, I didn't even think we were going to get here. You know, like I'm, you know, cause, and he has done good, and I like Southgate. He's an odd dude, but you need to be a bit odd to be an England manager. You know what I mean? Like we like the eccentric, you know, Glenn Hoddles and his weird opinions about stuff, and Bobby Robson and his character and all that sort of stuff.
But man, I'll tell you what it is, right? For me, despite losing,
still chuffed.
Yeah, all the kind of like horrible feeling of everything negative that comes with losing, I'm still quite pleased with the fact that like for the first time, it felt like we could have done it. we could have won the World Cup. We could have at least got to the final.
For the first
and people
time,
were not being negative in the press. Well, apart from like hammering Sterling as usual.
I think even that stopped. I think all the negative press stopped for once, and in fact, it's still stopped.
Yeah.
Like normally, there's no villain this time. There's no villain for once. We haven't got people making effigies of Beckham and burning them and all this nonsense. We haven't got any of that absolute mental nonsense. It's quite nice. It's like everyone's still proper positive about the fact that, like as you say, all of a sudden we were thinking, shit, we could win this.
Yeah.
And so like they can leave with their heads held high. You know, that's great that they've done well. The only problem is now, right?
Yeah.
What was so good about this tournament, the way that England went about it, the team and the country, was we refused to actually believe. We refused to be overconfident and egotistical. And the whole "it's coming home" started off as a joke at first.
Yeah.
But then suddenly, like, everyone started saying it, going,
could this actually happen?
Yeah, and then they beat Sweden, and we all start looking at each other going,
yeah.
Even coming home.
Especially the people, I know there'll be some people who might watch this who'll be like, I don't really have that much of an interest in football. But everyone suddenly like...
Mate,
it's
my missus
home.
decided she loved football.
Oh, do you know what?
Some of the questions she was asking me, well, I was just like, what do you mean? And she goes like, one of the guys, the Croatian guys got injured and he had to come off because he had cramp. And then she's like, why does he look so sad? And I went, well, he's coming off the pitch in the middle of a final.
Questions like when you're watching a movie and she's like, what's happened in this part of the movie?
She was driving me bananas, but it was really sweet. Like, she was all behind it. And for the first time, like every block in my block of flats, like every single person obviously had loads of people around. Me and Mrs. were just on a quiet one, but like everyone was full and I went out on the balcony at half time just to be like, you know, it was roasting hot and everyone was out there. And it's the first time I've really talked to any of my neighbours.
This is the thing.
It's been a bonder.
It's been I've had conversations with people that I like. I was in the gym the other day and there's this guy who's like proper hard looking. He'll never ever. Oh, come on, man. Okay, for all the people who are kind of
Tino's been going to the gym.
Oh my God.
Rubbing my nose in it.
So I've been going to the gym and I mentioned it a couple of times to Bobby.
Couple of times. He sends me every now and again videos.
I mean, I don't send you shirtless pictures, do I? I mean,
you just put them on your Instagram. Topless Tino all the time.
It's not. These aren't pictures for me to sort of entice the ladies. It's not something ridiculous like that. It's just that's a progression picture,
it's
isn't
good.
it?
I mean, it's good to see. It's like the before, the after, and this is the middle.
Yeah, but you just love to take the piss, basically,
I love
and make it sound as though I'm like good douche, and then like literally every corner turn around going, hey, the bar is that way. Like
no,
that,
I know.
Flexing, but I'm not. I mean, what I was trying to say was I was in the gym. And this guy, who looks like super hard, he's the kind of guy like I probably wouldn't speak to because he's tattooed. He's about sort of maybe 60. Kind of looks like he might, like really odd stereotypes formulate in my mind that I know aren't just really.
Like old white dude.
He's like a East End sort of talks like this sort of thing. Like, listen,
What? That high pitched?
I told him, right? No, I just get high pitched. Yeah, right. I told him, right?
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible, isn't it? I
don't know where is he from.
I don't know why can't I do an East? No.
What was that accent, bruv? I don't know what you're doing.
That's like an East End.
You sound like Dick Van Dyke, bruv, from Mary Poppins.
What? Yeah, you
How
come
can
here.
you not do a London accent?
You come here.
Oh, stop it.
What's wrong with you?
Anyway, you've chatted to like
I'm talking to this
Dick
guy.
Van Dyke.
He's
about
basically just kind of like had the
industry.
most open conversation. We started talking about our families and saying, "Oh, you remember the last time that you were here and like football, like was such a big deal when last time we did it?" And that's what it's great about that particular event or this particular event. It has brought people together. So like, forget all the fact that we lost at the like maybe the penultimate kind of like hurdle per se.
It is the penultimate hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
by
the
definition.
semi-final.
Yeah. So it's just.
Yeah, but it's no shame in it. Look at Belgium. Belgium are out. Same rate, and they were like one of the favourites. You're like, it's the same thing. Yeah. England can be like, you know what? The semi-finals are fucking massive deal.
Yeah.
And like the fact, do you remember Italia 90?
Man, I kind of remember it.
How can you not forget? No, 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 no. I mean, Pavarotti, bruv. That World Cup for me was epic.
But why can't I? It's not as vivid for me as it probably is for you for some reason. I don't know why. Because we were at school at that time.
Yeah, I was all over it. But you weren't that into football then.
No. I was into like, what was I into back then?
Well, you're on your way to, I don't know. You weren't even into music at the time. You weren't even.
Oh yeah, that's when I was like Mr. Recluse. I was like pre-emo stage before I just like sort of like.
Yeah, I mean, me and you would listen to tunes and that, but you didn't really seem like you wanted to play guitar or anything.
Nah.
That was what, wound us all up.
Isn't it funny with music though, right? Because obviously, like for me, I'm always trying to figure out what the latest piece of music is that is kind of like getting everyone's ears going and stuff like that. But that's by definition of my job. But I think lately there's been some interesting things that have started to come back full circle. For example, like Drake pulled out a record, didn't he, recently?
What, this Scorpion or whatever it is?
Yeah, what do you call it? A Scorpion or whatever it is.
It's Scorpion, isn't it?
What was it? Centipede or something? Centipede.
See, that was a better impression.
What? Centipede or
it's
something?
It's called Scorpion, isn't it?
It is called Scorpion.
But it's 26 tunes.
Yeah, it's 26 tunes. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like back in the day, you used to have Biggie Smalls double side LP, 2-pack, double side LP, and you'd be like, I've got to make a whole day for this to just try and listen to it.
But it's weird. And then you had Kanye go, nah, 7 tracks.
Yeah.
Boom. That's your album.
Yeah, but then is that like, at first I was like, wow, that's good, man. That's quality control, you know? He just wants to give the people something good. You know, he wants to give them something that really means something. But at the same time, I started thinking, hang on a minute, is there some kind of like contractual obligation in there that kind of says if you release at least 7 tracks,
it counts as an album. Otherwise, it's a
money tree kind of like thing.
Like, yeah.
But then, trying to not be a hater and trying to be positive, I was like, well done, Drake. You've got a lot of material there that you've put out, and I listened to the album, and I'm still absorbing it. I think the album is banging. I think there's some stuff on there that I don't think is to his standards.
You got half is for the ladies, innit? They've got like a
B-side. It's like a day and night kind of like weird thing.
B-sides for the sexy times.
Yeah.
And then you got the A-side, which is all like club bangers.
Yeah, but you got the straight up like hip hop sort of meets trap meets.
You know what? Like the beats, I love the beats, right?
What, on both sides?
No, I don't particularly like the
side A. Let's call it the first one.
I don't. I like the side A's got the bigger beats.
Yeah, the harder beats. It's got all the stuff like a couple of singles that have been out as well. Like I'm Upset.
What's the lady side?
The lady side.
Apparently, there's a side that's supposed to be not the lady side, the sexy
the lady side or the sexy time side.
Yeah. One's like a little bit softer and a little bit more for like.
The second CD is the one that you may refer to as the one that's slightly more easy listening.
Yeah. That's the. I mean, that's there's Club Bangers A.
Yeah.
And
you make it sound like this is 1996. Remember those are like compilation CDs.
Yeah, they're still doing it.
They still do those.
Yeah, the first one I bought was Now 24.
Yeah.
Right. See, in fact, the first one, it's the only one I've ever bought. Now 24. Now they're up to
what was on it? Like S Club 7?
No, I'll tell you what was on it.
What?
Pat O'Banton. Come back. Baby, come back. Bye. I must admit I was a clown banger. It also had Stay Now.
Oh my God,
E17,
the ultimate tune.
Biggest Christmas song ever.
The ultimate tune.
It had
Baby, if you wait. What was the lyrics of that?
Away. I don't know.
And it had that like dun 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 like bells, wasn't it? Yeah, that was sick. E17.
It had Cotton Eye Joe on it.
Yeah.
But it's the best one for 90s. If you're going to go for 90s bangers, it's got them all on there. It's got like Natalie and Bruglia and all these people on it. But yeah, anyway, that's the only one I've ever bought. But yeah.
I think we're digressing a little bit, but I see what you're saying about the fact that
Drake's thing. But you know what I'm saying? The beats, I do like overall the production. I think the production is great.
So what stands out for you then?
Nothing. This is the point. The problem with Drake is, for me, I know everyone loves him, and obviously, mate, I don't really have an opinion that's
No. He divides opinion, man. He does. So I'm not gonna lie.
I don't enjoy him. I don't get him. When he raps, I think it sounds like someone doing an awkward Jay-Z impression.
Yeah.
Some of it, and then the other part, even though Jay-Z's on one of the tunes, and it's supposed to be all right. Which I put it on and it was just so long. I just got lost. I lost track and I was just like doing other stuff and it was just on in the background.
Well, if you think about it, if you've listened to both CDs, you're probably on like CD number 2 at track number 27.
Yeah.
And if in this day and age, who's got the attention span to even listen to
Mate, that's what I think. That's what Kanye was thinking. That's what Kanye was thinking in terms of album. You can play 7 tracks in a row and get the concept, the whole album. He wants to put a concept from 7 tracks in.
Do you remember any of the stuff on those Kanye West albums that he's released?
I remember one tune on a Nas.
Okay, I know what tune it is. Yeah.
It's like a fat old school hip hop one with some epic soul sample. I just love the sample. I just love that it's about Adam and Eve or something like that. Or
I'll find it. Okay, all right.
Big tune. I like that one. But Drake, I just can't get my head around him. The missus loves him.
Okay, all right. Maybe let's divide it in a way that is a bit more sort of like digestible. Let's say you must know all the bangers, like Nice for What.
I don't know the names of any of them. They were on in the background. I've heard them all.
Yeah, but would you recognise them if you heard them?
If you played it again, I'd be like...
So on this album, for me, it feels a little bit like there's maybe, I'd say 2-3 standout bangers. For one, he's given himself a massive, like... Well, I'm going to give him some kudos for putting on Michael Jackson on a song and it not being shit.
Has he sampled MJ?
Yeah, how can you not know that? You've listened to the record. That's like the first song on the second CD.
Oh, mate, I don't know, because by the time I got through the first CD, bruv, I don't have it on CD, I've got it on Spotify, so it just plays. I've not changed the CD. So it just flows through, and I just put it on thingy, and while I'm working.
Yeah,
I'm getting on with stuff, and I'm like, in and out of the room, I come in, I'm not, my life isn't about reviewing his album. I think
that's just a statement of fact of how people are kind of like these days.
That's everyone. That's
nobody can be bothered to listen to an entire album. It affects everything that I do. It affects every kind of conversation that I have about making music. A lot of people message me and go, "Oh man, like first album was wicked. I'm looking forward to the next album." I'm like, "Oh man, that's wicked to actually hear that people are interested in hearing an album and stuff like that." But then the climate that we're working in at the moment is that it feels as an artist, you've got to produce bangers. Of course, that's never changed. That's always been the case. You've got to have something that stands out. But you've almost got to concentrate on smashing the hell out of that banger and seeing what happens and how people react to it after that, and trying to keep people's attention bit by bit, single by single.
You were the one who told me. You were talking to me. Do you remember what you were telling me about Calvin Harris? Is that his name?
Yeah, Calvin, the DJ/producer, yeah?
Yeah, who'd done that thing where he'd brought out a single, went to number 1.
Yeah.
Brings out another single, went to number 1.
Yeah.
Brought out another single, went to number 1. Only concentrated on bringing out singles.
Yeah.
Once he's brought out 13 singles in a row.
Yeah. That's the album.
That's your album. And then he resells everyone the songs they've already bought.
Yeah.
But in one sort of greatest hits.
Yeah.
It's like every album you bring out, just the greatest hits. But that loses the concept. So you know what I used to love about, especially old school hip hop albums?
Yeah.
You'd get like the album track. That's what I used to call them. You got the singles, and you got like, album track, like where it's just like. And I love those, like all old Black Star, Mos Def, The Roots, especially The Roots, put some weird stuff on their albums that you're like, I mean, that's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
but it's sick.
But it feels a certain way.
It would set the mood.
But then the thing is, I think it's the way that we consume music now is very different as well, because everything is much more heavily concentrated on the numbers and advertising and such and such. So therefore, like, it feels like, for example, like there are lots of songs that people call Spotify songs, or Spotify kind of culture of music. Oh man, you don't know about this. There's a certain kind of sound which is very kind of like hooky melody after hooky melody, certain kind of feel of chords, a certain kind of feel of like bad etiquette. Like a certain kind of feel of chords, a certain kind of rhythm, tempo, vocal delivery even to a degree. And maybe someone like you would not necessarily listen to that in your age group or whatever it is, but there are certain things that just happen to gather more streams and are placed in more playlists. And that kind of pressure, I imagine, to create that type of track or that type of music, sometimes I imagine filters down to everybody. Like, and you have to try and always hone in on the banger. You can't then have like that track that's like might become the cult classic because it's a 4 minute,
well, that's what we're losing.
like
we're
beautiful piece of music
classics.
to a degree. I mean, this is like generally speaking within in
but
my
we're gonna lose
genre.
cult classics because of that thing. Because now,
Yeah.
I've got playlists, right?
Yeah.
Playlists. I don't like to do. I've got albums, and lots of my playlists is just I'll drop a whole album onto my playlist.
Yeah.
And then I put it on shuffle
Yeah.
because I've got a shorter attention span than anyone. And you know me, like I'm like I'll be listening to like I don't know. Whoever, Bob Dylan at 1 minute, and then I'll be listening to Mos Def, and the next thing I'll be listening to some
and that's
old
the great
African
thing though about
I can't
Spotify or having these kind of like
album.
mediums to try and play music over this because you can do that quickly.
But what I've tended to do now is after a while I just pick the tunes I like, and I buy off the album. So like I'm now what happens is people like they'll look at your album,
give me an example. Just like okay, cool.
So I'll get your
I like
album,
this track, I like this track,
and I'll go I'll put. Obviously, I've got your whole album on my thingy,
which weirds me out, but yeah, fair enough.
Just because I like to put it on when you're around to make you feel uncomfortable, and then
because I hate it. Like I'm like go on.
Except the other day to test the PA in the venue,
you were like, "What is the most?"
I put that tune.
Tumbling Down.
No. The fucking dancey one.
Summer Love
tune.
and Life.
Yeah. Sounded
the dancing tune is what I did when I was in the studio. I was like, right, I need a dancing tune. Right.
Is that what it was?
It's literally. I was like, I need a dancing tune. How do I do?
Yeah, but it's groove because it's like an old sort of two-step vibe. Yeah. But the bass line's fat and on the big speakers. And my mate wanted something to do that because we were getting ready for an urban act.
Oh my God, he's
urban.
so
we got
urban.
Urban. Oh my God, it's gonna be so dangerous.
Yeah.
Sort of genuinely like, do you know how many risk assessments? Did you know this thing? I don't know if people out there know about this thing.
Yeah.
There's a form, right?
Yeah.
Called the 975 form or the 959 form.
People know. I think I've heard about this.
They're getting rid of it now, right? Because it's basically.
What is it? Because I always get confused. Isn't it like a bit sort of controversial? Because it's like just to measure the number of.
It's basically a racist. They kind of go.
So it's called the 975 form.
Is it a black event? All right, and genuinely like people, and then like you're like it's this whoever it is, and they're like, you're gonna need to fill in a black a black event form. They don't call it that obviously because everyone's like
So fuck somebody listening.
You got to make this form right, which is basically saying we're gonna be playing urban music, which and then you have to list any gangs affiliated with it.
What?
And if there's been any trouble at any of their other shows, you got to go through all this extra stuff. That's so weird, like because obviously when we do a lot of garage shows or grime shows or any of drill music or any of this sort of shit, people lose their shit. Like council people, licensing people.
Well, you mean the people behind organising the events, or
no? So you got the promoter,
like,
they're bang on board. They work with the artist. They're like, yeah. You got the venue, they're bang on board. They're like, yeah. But then you have all the whole world behind it, police, licensing, which is fair enough because there's been the odd sort of shooting.
Yeah,
fight
let's be honest that there are sometimes at these events there are some situations where people
who runs a venue,
like idiots. Yeah,
I've seen just as many fights.
At a normal
and nonsense.
I say normal, but any other kind of gig.
Indie gigs, like not like so rock and roll heavy metalers.
But aren't those the kind of gigs where people mosh and go mental as well? Stereotypically speaking, always mosh
but
just
that's
like a
all
general.
sort of like agreed. Everyone's sort of like, and now in fact, grime are now starting to love that. Have you not seen how they love the mosh pit?
The moshing is serious. Did you see Wireless? It was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well they create the ring of death, which is like what they used to do in heavy metal, where they make everyone spread out. And then they go wait for the drop, and everyone just smashes into each other. That's everyone agrees with it. That everyone's what's the word I'm looking for? Consented to that. So it's different.
Yeah.
But what police are talking about is more like, which happened with a lot of dubstep when dubstep started coming out, was gangs were fighting, and people were like getting stabbed, people getting hurt, people and all this. And so to cover their backs, to say that they've done their due diligence and allowed this event to happen, they created a form to say that it's the responsibility of the venue that's putting it on and the promoter to put it on, to create this, to fill in this form, giving us a background of the artist, giving us a guesstimation of the clientele, and it's like a proper overreaction, and it states you have to have a minimum of this many security people, way above the normal sort of thing like this, and it's just weird that they are doing away with it, but it's often in the events industry, in the venue industry, like a term, what sort of music is it? And they go, oh, it's urban. And everyone goes, oh, there's a lot of paperwork and all this. And I've just always wondered, like...
Do people know that?
I don't think the world out there knows that. I think it's only people in the game and it's like that top secret. don't pretend we don't talk like that in front of people. And I'm like, because I'm always like, because often people who run venues in and around London or England are from some small village and they've come to London for the big dream, but they're still a bit scared of the urban side of life. You know what I mean? They've read about it, they've heard about it, they've seen it on the news, but they don't. They're still a bit like, you know, they're from some tiny village in Kent. And they come to run a music venue, and then all of a sudden they got this like grime star who's like rolling deep.
So
with, like,
what does it do?
30 mans. They just brick it. These people.
So you were saying that they brick it and then they go over the top?
No. So they're scared of it because it's, you know, it's intimidating for a lot of people. If you were to take someone from I don't know, some tiny village
into the latest fucking
into some hefty grime show,
mate,
people will absolutely brick it because they'll just be like, there's a load of scary urban gang kids, you know what I mean, about the place, and they literally shit their pants, and so they overcompensate for this. But then I've always found that makes for an awkward environment. So like, if the security already set on this path that you're going, look, everyone who's coming tonight is going to be an absolute like lunatic gangland stabber.
Yeah.
The security turn up and going, they're straight away on the, and then so loads of like see these young boys turn up, and obviously they're all about these young boys. They're at that teenage age where they don't want to be made to look a mug in front of their friends.
Yeah.
So they've got their bravado going, but basically it's fucking this deep, man. The bravado's like it's point like, so all you need to do is just sugarcoat it a little bit. So just be like, oh, come on in, be nice. And then you've caught them off balance and everyone's nice. No one feeling like, you know, they're being mugged off at the front doors. So then they have to start giving the security shit and start giving... Because when they come in, everyone was like everyone was polite. We had Skepta, we've had everyone playing in ours. And
it shouldn't be thought of any other way. It's a mad one that I didn't even know that.
But it's weird.
I suppose it's when it's beef from, like, different types of people who know each other in their kind of, like, environment or from their culture per se. For example, like, if I remember when we were kids, there'd be like beef with people from my side of the road to, like, I don't know, like by Dubova boys and all that kind of stuff. But that's always been. I don't think you can ever stop that. I think that just occurs anyway. Even in, you know, funny enough, actually, in music, it's funny how like it's not too different, because like going back to the Drake thing that we were on about anyway, I think we were saying like there's a lot of music on that album, and there's two sort of sets of CDs. One side is light, one side is dark. But the dark side is interesting because it also
is that how
mentions...
he's saying it? He's not like saying the sexy CD.
Nah, that's just the way that I'm saying it. But I don't think they've actually tried to go on that way. They tried to go and kind of put it out in a way that's like, oh, look, there's just a lot of music and we're going to put it out. And that's fair enough.
Because he's prolific.
Yeah. And fair play to the guy. And you know I'm a fan. He's the first artist smashed a record to have 1 billion flipping streams within, what was it, like a week or something like that. 1 billion. It's ridiculous. But I think the point I'm trying to make is like, when we're talking about beef and like this culture of people being sort of like maybe looked upon differently to others when they like are put on an event, if you look up at the people that they've, you know, probably look up to themselves or the kind of music that they listen to, it's prevalent in that. So with Drake, for example, on this album, he himself has a beef running with Pusha T, another rapper.
Yeah, well, of course. Pusha T, that's what Kanye West would produce Pusha T's album. Yeah. And it's just them digging at each other. But this one is that marketing.
See, this is the thing, right?
Because the two of them have done amazing out of this. Yeah. By this beef, just suddenly gone like...
I don't even think that they've done amazingly out of it.
And then I've got to listen to that song. I've got to listen to that song.
Gone sour, man. Because I feel like...
Pusha T went too far, man.
Well, the story for like anyone who doesn't know, from what I've gathered anyway, is that Pusha T, probably jumping forward, mentioned some things in the classic kind of beef that rappers have, where they mention things to do with each other's personal lives. Yeah, and that's the last kind of like section of it, without going too deep into it. Like, I don't want to stick on this for too long.
You got a kid.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you've got a kid with a woman who like you don't tell anyone about, and you've hidden the kid, and
you got a ghostwriter."
Yeah, yeah, like a little bit of a mention of that. And because like the way that Drake, from what I like have seen, he didn't really answer or respond to that part of the track. But funnily enough, on the album, as it drops just after all this stuff happens, he then starts making references to the woman that he is the mother of his child, and also to his child. And he's like there's been lots of songs that have been written about their, you know, fathers' children and how they wish they could have done things differently and da-da-da-da-da. And he kind of goes off on a similar kind of tangent, but just saying, I hope we are able to kind of squash things, me, you and your mum, because right now we're not getting along, da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, I don't even think that's too much of a thing. I think it was honest of him to try and talk about that. But the beef goes back ages, doesn't it? And you're saying that it's like, could it be a marketing thing? Yeah, maybe it is a marketing thing.
I think there was a beef. I think they don't like each other.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
yeah,
and maybe this is a skeptic in me,
yeah,
they're both, their management's like going, right, can you both not like each other just before you release an album?
Yeah, because it is convenient timing, isn't it?
You lot can hate each other all year in your own personal time.
Yeah.
But if you're going to publicly hate each other, can you just wait until you're both...
We've got 4 weeks until we're at market. Now, if you just tell people about Drake's mum at 4:15 on Tuesday.
Well, I don't know if it's that concise, but a bit more like... But that's probably why Drake's got 25 songs. He's like me, I've had 2 albums ready, but this guy's been waiting to bring out an album.
Do you know what? There's an element of truth in that, because some of the songs are so chronologically correct to like Pusha T then releases the kind of complaints and or says the things that he says about Drake, I should say rather, and then he sounds like Drizzle when you say that, like, but I like his Drizzle, like, what is it?
Lemon Drizzle cake.
No,
I think that's
like
what
a salad
his,
spread. What is
Mrs.
that?
calls him as a pet name.
Lemon Drizzle spread. I'm not even getting into it. I can't get into it with you. It's too much.
Right.
But basically, I just think that culture is like, I don't think I hate it. I quite like it. As long as it stays lyrically.
Well, yeah, this is... I was talking to my mate in the car about, right?
Yeah.
He was all saying, well, you see all this beef and all that sort of stuff. They got to be careful because they're role models for people out there and then all this sort of stuff. And in these videos, if it gets too negative, and that's the problem with... Because we were having that same talk about, like, that form.
Yeah.
Because he works in the venue with me, and I was like... And he's all down with his British hip-hop. Like, he's a good kid, then he's all into that sort of stuff. And we were having a talk, and I said to him... Like he was like kind of does blame the music for the effect it has on the young people.
Yeah.
And I don't see it like that. I see like music is the mirror, right? Say there's a mirror, right? Music is the reflection of society. So, and people always go, no, but we need to ban all these drill videos and all this sort of stuff because that beef is affecting the communities and society and all that sort of stuff, and encouraging kids to go out and stab people and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, no, it weren't. People are doing that anyway. This music is a reference, is a reflection of that. It's a clear reflection. And I don't think the music, like, because you go right back in the days before we even had recorded music, we had all kinds of skullduggery going on, like back in the days of Bark and all them mans.
Yeah, man, it was even worse. Like, there was no...
it was lawless. That's what I mean. So people can't be saying that. And now it's just that what happens is when you have music that's from an urban scene where they've had... This shit's been going on for years, but now they've got an actual platform to show the reflection of what it's actually like. And actually, so people who don't live in that world, Mr. Smith from Kent, can actually listen to it and go, for him, it's scary as fuck. But then you're like, well, that's because that's what's going on. That's society.
I don't like that it then typecasts that music or those types of people who listen to that music and makes that a certain kind of behaviour synonymous with
crime. Yeah, but it's the same thing as... But things are all scary until you've been faced with it. Everyone's scary of the idea of a monster until you see it, and it's just the shadow of a little fucking puppet next to a thing. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. So the illusion of urban music, the scary urban music, and then the reality of it being like, oh, there's just 15-year-olds like
dressed in masks.
Yeah, it was the same shit as like Slipknot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I find that more scary. Like, they're screaming all the time.
Like, you like the whole massive report on like ITV News at 10, drill music is blamed for violence in the da-da-da-dum. And the minister says, and you're kind of like, hang on a minute, can somebody please have a look at Slipknot and see what motherfuckers have been doing for a long time?
In the same way,
or not,
Marilyn Manson got blamed for a load of like stuff. And I'm like, no, music isn't the blame. You can't blame the art. The art is the reflection.
Expressive. It's actually the music, in a sense, is actually just a way for lots of people who are being typecast in this way to escape their environment. That's the irony of it, really and truly.
It's a platform to escape from your situation.
Yeah, and express yourself that way. But also, let's not be silly. People do send for other people on their songs and do silly things. If let's say, for example, here in the UK, with drill music and the way that...
But you didn't think them boys were like, the gangs weren't already doing that?
That's the point. I can't even say anything to that.
You know what? We've never had a gang in London until someone went, I've got this really nice beat going. I'm going to call it drill. Let's start a beef. You know what? You mans from down there, we're going to cut your balls. You know what I mean? It's bullshit, bro. You know what I mean?
You mans from down there, we're going to cut your balls.
Yeah, but
yours sincerely.
Yeah, yours sincerely. Smith from Kent. No, but this is what I'm talking about, bro. This is like the reaction that the people have. And these are always people...
Do you think it's like, you know what? Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you know how like Trump always goes on about fake news? This is fake news.
It is fake news.
Is that another thing where people are just kind of like, oh, that's a headline.
Oh, speaking of which...
This already works. We know it works because if we say some bad shit about people who are from here or make this kind of music and da-da-da-da, we know there'll be somebody else, some naysayer giving it, oh, yes, I told you, darling. That's exactly the problem with the youth of today. It's this drill music.
That's why often, right, if you're at one of these events, right, and some idiot does have a fight, because basically, let's just face it, you put humans, any amount of humans, in a spot together and give enough alcohol to them, someone's going to have an argument.
Fact.
Country music, fucking ballroom dancing. You get people fucked up, you put them in a confined space.
Yes.
They're going to fucking argue.
Yeah.
Like,
yes. If you put that number of emotions into a room, someone's going to get...
Adrenaline mixed with alcohol, mixed with close proximity and bravado, is the human, which is the human nature, is going to have a tempestuous reaction. Yeah.